Hello, students. Let's read the poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. It is written by Stephen Spender. The poem is a scathing criticism of the utter neglect of children who are denied basic facilities of education and living. The poet Stephen Spender criticizes the social injustice and class inequalities prevailing in the society and calls for a holistic education for these deprived children. Far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces, the opening stanza provides a view of the classroom in a slum. The condition of the children is very pathetic and heartrending. Far from the activity and celebrations of life, the faces of these children are withered and faded like uprooted weeds. Surrounded by poverty and apathy of people, they have no time and money to keep themselves clean. They have unkempt hair and pale faces. The tall girl looked physically and mentally exhausted. Her head is bent with the innumerable problems which are beyond her age. She is poverty stricken. She is a child who is living there in slum. And this time now she is sitting there in the elementary school classroom. Far, far from gusty waves. This expression signifies that instead of enjoying their childhood in the lap of nature, frisking freely in the open grounds or beaches, their childhood is confined to the dark and dingy walls of the slum. The paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. The poet compares the eyes of the boy to those of a rat because the poor undernourished child is deprived of the basic amenities of life. His eyes are inquisitive, and he is always on the lookout for food and security. The stunted, unlucky hire of twisted bones, a thin slum boy has been referred to here. He is stunted because of malnourishment, which has prevented him from blossoming fully. He is the unfortunate hire of his parents' poverty, disease, and despair. His body is deformed, and his bones are twisted, reciting a father's gnarled disease. The slum children, like the paper seeming boy, inherit the disease and despair of their parents and thus become carriers of their father's disease and poverty. They appear to be as sick as their parents. He is reciting his lesson from the desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted sweet and young. So there is a sweet, young, and bright child. He is different from other children, and he is seen at the back of the classroom. He is happy because he is dreaming of the squirrels and how they make room for themselves in the trunk of trees. He is happy only in his dreams. He is not sad like other children sitting there in the classroom. On sour cream walls. This expression suggests the poor and ill-equipped environment of the slum school. The sour cream walls of the school, which were probably painted with the help of donations, these further add to the pale and sad ambience of the poem. And Shakespeare's head. This phrase is ironically used in an elementary classroom in a slum where the value of education is a minimal. Reference of Shakespeare or elite literature may raise hopes and aspirations which will never be fulfilled. Cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities. These images stoically highlight the monotonous and dull life in an urban slum. The elementary school in a slum is so squeezed and suppressed that these children are even unaware of the beauty of the sky at dawn. They are overridden by the concrete structures of the cities. The expression of Tyrolese Valley. This refers to natural beauty which the slum children are deprived of. The slum children pass much of their life raking in garbage and slag and never get to enjoy the beauty of mountains and flowery valleys. Open-handed map. The map of the world in the classroom is symbolic of hopes and aspirations. For a look at it motivates the children to explore the world beyond this slum, the world which has been awarded to us by God with all its bounties. But the world for these children comprises the filthy slum only. Their hopes for a better world may just never be fulfilled. The world for these children is confined within the walls of their slum. They may get glimpses of the beautiful world outside from the windows of these walls, but shall never be able to own this world. So, these windows, not this map, their world where all their future is painted with fog. The future for these children is bleak and foggy. They may nurture hopes and aspirations for a better future, but achieving these hopes is a vision, a dream for them. A narrow street sealed in with a lead sky. The lives of these slum children are confined in the narrow streets of the slum, where dirt and filth reign supreme. These children lead a life of disease and despair within these narrow streets. Lead sky is black, and this is symbolic of hopelessness and despair. Far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of worlds, these children are deprived of all the bounties of nature. They spend their life confined in slum only. They never get an opportunity to bask in the glory of natural beauty, of the rivers, the snow-capped mountains, and the stars. Ships, sun, and love. These expressions are symbolic of the joy and brightness of life which these children are deprived of. And the lives of the slum children cleverly turn and twist in their cramped holes. And these children, what they do, they live their life in pathetic slum only. And the miserable life, it only remains there in the slum. On their slag heap, these children. Slag heap refers to a large pile of waste, discarded material. So these children they survive on the discarded material. This dirt and garbage is the world for the slum children who spend their life there only. Skin peeped through by bones. This expression refers to the weak and worn out looks of the slum children. These children, they are malnourished and they look more like skeletons. Spectacles of steel. This expression also highlights their pathetic condition. Bottle bits on stones. This expression clearly indicates that their life is shattered and broken like bits of bottle on a stone. And the foggy slum comprise the world for these children. The slum are only reality, the home for them where they spend their lifetime. All of their time and space are foggy slum, so blot their maps with slum as big as doom. As big as doom, the foggy and filthy slums which comprise the world for the slum children are like living nightmares. Life there is worse than death. These slum are stalking the world just like death stalks its victims anytime, anywhere. There is an urgent need to usher in reforms and do away with meaningless things. We have to uplift the living of these children. Unless governor, teacher, inspector, visitor, this map becomes their window, and these windows that shut upon their lives like catacombs. The last stanza is a wake up call to bring reforms in the lives of these poor children. The poet says that the schools are poor and lack the basic infrastructure. They only spring to action when a governor, inspector, or a visitor comes to visit the school. So he requests the authorities to take a serious note of the problem of these children and ensure that their slums also become like the places shown on the map. Their lives are restricted to the view seen outside their windows. They are confused about their unhealthy world, and their lives are sealed like the cemeteries or graves. Their lives are like being buried alive in a grave. Break, oh break open, till they break the town. The poet hopes that these children would one day break free from the chains of the slums. They will rise above all atrocities and economic injustice and will create a beautiful world for themselves and show the children green fields and make their world run azure on gold sands. The poet visualizes a world where these children will be free to bask in the freedom of the green fields and frolic around on the sea beaches in a carefree manner. They would not be troubled by the injustice of life. Green fields and gold sands, these expressions are symbolic of a carefree and happy life and refer to a world where social and economic injustice doesn't prevail and everyone enjoys the right to live a happy life. Let their tongues run naked into books. The poet strongly feels that the lives of these children will be very miserable and unfulfilled unless they are educated. Thus, he wishes that these children be exposed to the world of books, brought out to the world of knowledge. They should be educated so that they can break themselves free from the confines of the slums. History is theirs, whose language is the sun. Sun is symbolic of the grace and light of God, and in this line, sun refers to the light of education. The poet strongly feels that it is the educated alone who can transform the world. Ending the poem on a positive note, the poet feels that people who are ignited by the fire of knowledge and learning are those who create history. He would like opportunities to be made available to the children. He wishes that all distinctions of the rich and the poor and all forms of injustice should be wiped out so that no childhood gets lost in the gloomy darkness of ignorance in the slums.